babies crying, kids screaming, and only you can only hear the sound of like your
Well,
voice.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so like the paid version is $5 a month. The free version, I use that for a bit. Like for instance, right now, I'll start tapping on the table and you won't hear anything.
Nice. Hey, we're live. Only 18 minutes late. But that's pretty cool. I think that would be really helpful for working from home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
it.
I actually saw that on YouTube or other YouTubers. Someone posted on Twitter or something. But that's pretty cool. Might have been like a review of it.
It's worked really well for me. I mean, I've had meetings where my kids are like shouting in the background and no one can hear anything. No one even can tell because I keep throwing my head back.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's yeah, that can be a challenge. Kids. Yeah, you're yeah, I keep forgetting you have brand new kids. Mine's 14 and it's school, so I finally got my. That's the best part is that I got my office back because my son's back at school. Yay! It's like summer was just awful. I couldn't. He's always in here, and with all the restrictions with COVID, he didn't get to see them. His friends in person. A few times here and there for outside stuff, but most of the time it was on online chats and games and all that.
Yeah,
Um,
COVID been a lot harder, I think, like 30 years ago or even 10, 15 years ago. It would have been so much harder.
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna try and share the screen here to show you all the things I did, and hopefully by the end of the session we'll have a little open source project, just some sample code for people to get comfy with, and hopefully have some community effort to build out what I'm doing. And obviously, it's just automating things through Miro is going to hit a wall in terms of what's possible. Simply because that interface is quite bloated with Canvas, and that's not their fault. I'm not really criticizing them, but it's a tool that's supposed to support everything. There's templates for everything, so you can't do everything and be really good at one thing as well, which comes to event modeling and some of the opinions of how you do it, to just not be really supported. But I think we can get there, and then when people, my goal obviously is for people to understand that, hey, there's so much opportunity. Eurydice is wanting in. Sorry, someone's knocking on the door here. Cash, I'm gonna make you admin if that's all right.
Okay, that's fine.
Um, pardon me. Two people waiting. They're like, "Hey, let me in." Okay, there they are. People are in, and then Cash, co-host. Yes, and I'll make Eurydice co-host as well. He hasn't been here in a while.
Good morning, gamers.
Hey,
You're
Eurydice, good to see you.
you're alive.
Dude, the problem is that this Friday events kind of screwed up the timing with the company, so I haven't been able to join because of that.
It's all good, man.
Our things over here.
I haven't been on for a while, so I'm just getting my groove on here with some of these things. I don't know how many scenes I have set up, but I have quite a few. I might just have a Zoom. I have a Zoom one. Let's transition to that one so you can. This is a view of who I'm talking to and you guys, but I want to do another one that's got Miro, so I can show you what I'm doing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the whole screen because that's better. Where is it here? With desktop. Okay, yeah. Alrighty. I just have to hide anything secret on here.
I don't see you guys. What the heck is this?
I need to get a second camera for Zoom. So
Come
I'm
on.
gonna do my phone actually. You know what?
Uh,
I'm gonna do my phone so you guys can see me on that. But
True.
Yeah, I'll probably mute this and just put you guys on the phone so you can see me on Zoom. But I don't want. I kind of want you guys to be on the Zoom camera. So if you have YouTube, you can look up my ugly mug there.
I may need to drop in a couple minutes. I have a
Uh-oh.
meeting at 12, but I will be back on after that
Okay.
meeting.
Well, Eurydice is also a co-host in case there's some people knocking on the door and I'm not looking. Um, do I have anything that's proprietary info on any of my screens?
The secret to wealth and riches, probably.
Oh, what's that?
I said the secret to wealth and riches,
Yeah, yeah.
probably.
Well, this is certainly not it. I'm still not rich and all that, so I don't know. Take all this as a. What the hell is it? Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, sweet. So, come on, Miro.
Book.
Yeah, it's being worked on. I think it's going to be a Addison Wesley book with Vaughn's series, which doesn't really. It's not really good because it makes. It makes the approval process a little bit longer. Addison Wesley's a little bit more stringent as to the formats and all that. So I'm looking at just how it's, how his books are put together, trying to follow a little bit of that style. But yeah, and definitely going to be doing that. Okay. And so how have you been, Eurydice, with your event modeling escapades?
Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, we have to like. I mean, a story of my life. Because of the event modeling, we got to go back to zero with a project that was delayed for a month, and in less than 4 weeks, figured out how we're gonna deliver it by chunks and stuff like that. So that was really interesting.
Oh, okay. So you
Until,
reset the whole project because of event modeling?
yeah, because at some point it's kind of like I just use it to explain to people all the complexity of what they're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially that the UX decision that they trying to impose that was kind of like doing like 2 processors.
Uh-huh.
I guess somebody's playing with the balls today. So they were trying to, impose some UX decisions that were like 2 processors waiting for each other, like enough choke points and problems. And
Right.
and stuff like that. And because of that, then we have to like go back to zero and say, no, you're gonna see the chaos once you put it in production. It looks
Right.
good in static images and design. So we had to go back to zero, and then then everything becomes much clearer, even for the person dealing with backend and Expedia integration and stuff like that. Yeah, it was interesting. And now get to the point where people from like marketing and like have nothing to do with tech is kind of like, can we do even modeling here for the tier day operations just so we can understand how the whole process works? So it's really interesting, to say the least.
Huh.
Yeah, have been super heavy using event modeling.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some interesting revelations over managing really large projects. Like I said, one of the largest projects I've ever worked on. Right now we're at over 1,000 workflow steps. 1,000. Probably around 450 unique read models and command handlers. And that's
That's
a
good.
lot of people working on that project. Probably 50 people all in all, and if you count all the vendors and programmers and everyone working on that. It's quite a lot. So it's good. I love a challenge. I want to say, hey, how far does this scale? I want to say it scales to whatever the size of your company is. So
Yeah.
so far so good.
We came across an interesting situation, by the way, that I needed to actually talk to you because I didn't know how to model that. And somehow some people wanted to have the information. Let me share it real quick.
Sure.
Because we kind of broke CQRS because we have to, being pragmatic in the meantime. So, for example, when you visit a page, right? That page have to make an Experian order and then get the Experian report, something like that, right? So basically it's kind of like 2 API calls. So we didn't know how to model it because all we see is like the read model going into the UI, but technically that read model is kind of doing the order that is there and doing the read model. So we got kind of like, how can we do this? I'm not sure. For now, the caveat was kind of like, look, treat that as a technicality that is there, but we don't care too much. But that was interesting because it was not information flowing from the left to the right. Is that the right triggers the left? Like it's technically like flip. Like when you read that, then you flip to do the processing stuff and then go back to the green stick over here. So that was interesting because so technically this is good, but it's not what is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
I don't know. I think for now we were like, you know what? What was important for us is that somehow that read model will be there or some sort of information. We didn't care too much of when that like automation was triggered.
Right.
But that was just me, the lazy way to say, can we go back to later? And I literally told them, let me ask the person who live in these models every day like me, because I just don't know. From one side, something tells me to, put that thing over there and do stuff like this, and then out of that trigger automation. I mean, obviously there's no an event there. So it will be, yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Now everything is broken, but like technically that's what happened in type of situation. And then eventually you go back to it because it's synchronous for now.
Right.
For now it's synchronous, and that's where like some engineers were like, oh, I like it to see that that's what's happening, right? Because at that point you know exactly that you have some automations going on, but then the automation today is not reacting to an event or anything like that. So that was interesting. So we just stick to this for now. I don't think it's that important, especially that we want to go to a more event driven.
Yeah, I try not to focus on the technical side of synchronous, asynchronous in the event model itself, unless it's something that is your business.
Yep.
And so yeah, I generally don't do that. My computer's very slow for some reason. I have so many other things running here. I think I have to quit a few programs. So if you're seeing a lag on the feed, it's probably because of me not doing
Yeah,
something.
so you see, like, this was a prior, by the way. Like, we eventually had to split it up because we start understanding the complexity and we go back to zero. But yeah, it's we are doing event modeling everywhere to the point like, okay, here it is. Like,
that's awesome.
This was like for the tier day. This is for people to understand how we run the tier days. Kind of like, run the Nelly calcs, adjust the stuff. Like marketing people are like, oh shit, we understand this. Or customer support. So like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah. Then sometimes I just speed run implementations in Elixir just because.
Yeah, you like Elixir a lot. I noticed JetBrains did their annual survey of languages and all that, and Elixir is actually quite popular for the front end stuff.
Because I think Elixir is a combination of the Erlang VM itself is really friendly from the operations perspective,
Yeah.
Uh, because it's not a black box VM, and it's optimized to give you insights, absolutely everything, right? So that, from my perspective, which I'm not a DevOps person, is
Yeah.
really useful. Well, in other languages, you have to recompile, upload things. Like, you have no insights. You have to do tracing, two different code paths just for like too much. Then the second part of it is the distributed part of it. Well, people have to lean on all these tools like Kubernetes and Redis and yada yada, trying to like deal with basic distributed system problems.
Right.
I feel that for me, it's like I'm not too worried about it, because I have the proper tools to deal with the situation, and sometimes it's even less energy to just do it in the application space that conform to those components just because you didn't have the proper tools. So that's what I like the most. And then side effects of some stuff that they did is that if you do event sourcing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a functional programming language, you could focus in a really functional way to fix a problem, which is, here's a function that takes an state, a command, and give you back a list of events.
Yeah.
Or here's a function that takes an state, an event, and then give it back in a state, right? Like, you could actually narrow down what you need to deal with, because the language is not object oriented, and you don't lean on those stuff, like, I don't know, like, for example, people put interfaces or whatever in .NET and yada yada. Like, you could just focus, like, here's a backup data, here's a function that you need to run right now, and then call it day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, that's let me see if I can share something. That's the part that I really enjoyed the most. And since the language is immutable, you don't need to be worried about pointers, memory, getting up to speed. It's kind of like, well, everything's immutable. So if it happens between A and B, is there between A and B,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the thing that I like to emphasize is that you can get those advantages if you think about, event sourcing and use other languages in that way. But I know what you're saying. It's just those patterns in people's heads from other languages. They just end up mutating stuff and causing issues for themselves. At least with an event model, you can start to draw boundaries around these small explosions of crap that happen. Each slice at least can blow up only so much if you pay attention to that. So
yeah, especially when it comes to like languages with the strong typing or whatever, it's like, I do like types, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you reduce the complexity of a software down to like a function with two arguments that is doing one thing, the typing itself becomes less valuable. It's kind of like, it's just there to add noisy, right? Especially if you force me to implement interfaces and do all this like technical stuff, infrastructure stuff that are there just to make it work. Like, I don't need that.
yeah.
Just to move the data from left to the right. Like, here's the input, move it to the left. Here's the output that needs to be produced.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes I just speed run like for fun. I just like, we don't use this in production, but you can. I speed run in front of people like the implementation of the event modeling, because it's just like a bunch of data, one function that takes two arguments, give me the new function out. Like,
that's what I love about event modeling, is that people know where to go next. Like,
yep, exactly.
Here's your screen. What do? They press a button. Okay, well, where do I press that button? Where's the code? Where's the command handler for all that stuff that it sends?
Yep.
Oh, what does it do? It just stores this event. Cool. Okay, I guess I'm done with this part. UI looks good. People can press the button. The information gets stored. Okay, what's the next slice? Oh, look.
Yep.
I have a view here, a state view. Oh, it's listening to the same event we just put on there. I'll just add the subscription, and now I put the logic in so that this table looks exactly like I want. Oh, what's the page that's going to display this stuff? Oh, it looks like this. This is the table I query, and this is how I show stuff. It's how people try to. I had some tweets about TDD, and one of the biggest things for test-driven development was that it guides your development, because you're like, I don't know where to start, so just start with like your end condition and work backwards to make the test pass. This is way better. It's the same kind of mindset, but it gives you this awesome way of getting guidance, which is really, really cool. Oh my god, I have so many.
Yeah, I
Some
know what you mean,
IDs.
and if you can trust your infrastructure components, which for me is commanded in Elixir,
Yeah.
no, I start here. I
Yeah.
literally say, here's a backup data, here's another backup data, expect backup data out. like,
Yeah.
and the reason I know that backup data is because I go to the modeling and say, okay, here's the backup data command, here's another backup data needs to be out. Like that's it. So most of the code is like 100% unit test coverage,
Yeah.
and it's just the fact that once you really have a language that is friendly to do that fast iteration, plus an infrastructure component they could trust, man, the complexity goes down to like, yo, this
Yeah.
is simple. The next natural progression, if people want to take it far enough, is like, having lambdas and stuff like that. But that is where I personally prefer. This is where I like the Beam. It's like, it's not that hard to run in a distributed manner and deal with concurrent problems or whatever the fuck, and I don't have to deal with all this infrastructure component. I mean, when I say infrastructure, it's like outside application.
Yeah.
That is like too much, man. Like I don't want to deal with that. Anyway, so yeah, for me, like, yeah, the event modeling definitely helped me. Like now, that's how my brain thinks about everything. Like in general in computer science, like where's the point where I'm at? Where's the command? If you're trying to alter the system, what does they have to be? Move on. Even if you don't have event sourcing, I start thinking that way as well.
Yeah, I think that, I said that I think that's the next big step is for people to realize that they can use this. And I know Sebastian from Germany was doing quite a lot of this. How do you apply event modeling to traditional stuff? And it's really good. I'm quite happy about that. What the hell is going on? Sorry guys, I'm trying to set up my IDE here, and I didn't reboot this computer in a long time, and I don't know what's running in the background, but OBS, Zoom, and everything else, I just need to upgrade it. This computer's like a decade old, and I'm surprised it's actually streaming, honestly. But I wanna set this up. Well, Eurydice shows you what's going on, because no, I don't think anyone will be able to read this. Why is this font so tiny? Ah.
I can put it like that.
No,
So,
not
there you
yours,
go.
mine. I'm trying to get my IDE so I can show you guys what I want to show here, but it's oh goddamn view is so tiny. Settings.
So yeah, no, I don't know. To be honest, like for me, my entire career has changed after dealing with event modeling and stuff like that, because like the things that you kind of helped me was to reduce the complexity or understand my job in a simpler way.
Right.
Before before I used to listen to, like people like you, Greg, and Uncle Bob. It's like, we built everything with our database or whatever. And my brain was like, but how the fuck you do that? Like I have this Postgres shit over here that I have to deal with. How you do that? And like, I think I finally got to a point, oh shit, right. Because I was thinking in tables and databases and shit like that. And like,
yeah,
those things are there, but they're not the core of it. And
yeah, we got technology first attitude, right? That's a big problem. I think am I clipping? I think I'm clipping. Right?
Yeah, the fact like let me see if I can find it. I'm teaching my best friend, like about this fun stuff, and then same deal. Like I let me see if I can find the code. I sit down with him and it's like, look, let's do this together, and I don't want you to understand anything. All I need you to do is to like see it. And I took his problem space and reduced it to like social simplistic way to see the problem, which is honestly what he was trying to do. Given the good infrastructure component, I guess. So he was like dealing with command buses or whatever, right? Like he was trying to get there, but then the first question I asked him was kind of like, yo, is this an integration test or is this a unit test type of situation? I know for the sake of unit testing, but my interest was more like, are you focusing in what you're trying to do, or are you focusing in infrastructure components and shit like that? So then, for fun, we just start over and we start building like a BDD tool that all it does is forces you to think about data structures. Like that was the intention with him. It's kind of like, here's the two functions, one that evolves, the other one that decides on, following FSHAR crowd in the naming. Forgot his name. And then after that, we just
the guy from France.
I always forget his name, but I'm honestly like, I always use his
Jeremy. Is it Jeremy?
Chessing? I think it was Jeremy. Yeah, I think it's Jeremy
Chessing. Yeah, that's a really good thing we did with him here.
Yeah, so basically I just start over with him. It's like, here are two functions that technically is what you're trying to do, right? Like I reduce his complexity to this. A switch statement with two functions. And this is because I don't have pattern matching. And maybe some extra value for the TypeScript. Okay, yeah, whatever is there, but it's like it's really interesting be able to reduce the problem to two functions. At least in the command side of it.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we ended up like building this tiny thing as we go, just to go back to basics. It's like, no, this was what you're trying to do. It was no command bosses or anything else. Like those stuff will be there, but it shouldn't be your focus.
Right.
Am I sharing the screen?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, shit. I was like, don't tell me I was talking without any context.
No, we can all see it.
Yeah. So.
That's good.
And again, like the event modeling part of it, man. Like once you understand the problem space from the business perspective, you put in event modeling and you know exactly what to do. You go here, there, here, there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I found the problem with the font. God damn it. Took forever. All right, there we go. Nice.
Where are you?
It's a little bit large of a font, but let me share the screen.
Also, by the way, people listening, you don't have to do event sourcing to take advantage of the modeling.
Yeah, exactly.
We are doing Go development, allo CRUD, but just the cognitive load of having to understand the problem and the workflows and stuff like that, like not having that cognitive load is super helpful. And that was something that helped that project that I told you we were delayed. It's kind of like, okay, now we see the complexity, now we see the amount of work we need, now we understand what we needed to do from the get-go. So even though we're doing, normal.
All right. Well, that's good.
Normal development, yeah.
But hey, I want to get your opinion on this thing that I was working on Miro. Since we're all still stuck on Miro, a lot of companies have invested a lot of money on this. Let me share my screen. Screen sharing. I guess I'll do both for you guys and on OBS. Transition here. People can see everything that's going on. And then on Zoom, screen share screen. Oops, come on. Share screen desktop 1. Okay, share. Alrighty. So hopefully everyone can see that. And yep, that went away. Let me just put this on in this corner and move this out of the way. Okay, so cool thing is and also this stuff. God damn, there's so many things to move around. Go away. Zoom's in the way. So here you can see a simple event model. Oh God, what is this? Go away. God. Why does that menu not go away? Okay, there we go. Can you see everything?
Yep.
Oh,
I can see the development.
Okay, so
team. Yep.
So one of the things that we are doing in large projects that have event modeling as the way to have the requirements, we have to start to organize them with workflows. So we have these areas, kind of like what you shared, Gertis. You had those workflows. that were kind of segregated here. Well, a lot of like the progress tracking with like Jira and all that is kind of clumsy. You have to read a lot of tickets. And I always, today I'm going to be doing another report for this about how many tickets are, like how many slices are actually these workflow steps. How many are finished? How many are in progress? And how many are not started? Also, who's working on each of those? Because the business folks are going to have to go look at it and say, hey, this is where we have, Adam working on, I don't know, some login screen or whatever. So whoever's looking after authentication from the business side, they have a problem. They know who to go to talk to because they see that I'm working on it. So we have these reports where basically we have to say, hey, we have, things, existing in different workflows. So if I'm organizing something, this is just the mechanics, right? This is just this one page of code in this large font. So it's not very much, but it uses D3 to kind of take this model of what that is and move things around. One of the things that we do is we embed we embed some encoding into each command handler and each state view or read model so that we know who's working on it, which workflow it is, etc. And I parse that and get that report. But I can use the coordinates of these things to say, where is it, right? And if it's actually not within either one, it just disappears because we simply have a bounds check in here, right? If something's in, inside one other rectangle, and we recognize which things are workflows, because right now I'm just doing W:, but you can certainly use colors or other attributes of these things. And if you start to, if you open up your developer console in here, where's developer, web developer tools, you can start to, do some pretty cool stuff with like the console and then, Miro dot board. Sorry, it's so tiny. I wish there was a way to get this font so bigger. Where's the font on this? Do you know where the font size is on this? Here it is. Settings, I guess. Developer tools. Where's the font?
For Miro itself?
No, for like Firefox stuff. The developer tools here.
Oh, do command. Oh no, you don't. You're not Mac.
I'm not even on Chrome or Safari, so this is Firefox, right?
Yeah, I'm using Firefox nowadays as well.
Oh, so where do you do the?
If I'm not mistaken, it's Control. I mean, I'm Firefox, but macOS. So I'm assuming is Control Plus. Just highlight the inspection.
Yeah,
and do
probably.
Control Plus.
Okay, I was afraid to do that because of the developer window, but web developer tools, and let's see, hover over this and control scroll. Yes. Okay. Okay. Good. Whew. So yeah. So there's like Miro dot UI, I think. Or is it board? Yeah, board. Yeah, board.ui, I think. Or no, I think it's widgets. Yeah, widgets.get. And I think you have to do a wait because it's... Yes, right. So now you have all of these things in here. Actually, I'm just going to hide this crap down here and expand it a little bit so we can see. So the neat thing about that is you can inspect all this, and if you take a look at the shapes, they have some pretty interesting things, and I make a map out of it, right? So I just pull out the ones that I want, like name and the bounds for now. If you look at the code here on the left, in terms of how this works. By the way, you can hook this up if you go to like Miro API tooling, you can register a domain. This is actually coming from eventmodeling.org/Miro/sidebar and index.html. I'm actually editing this on the actual server with over a SSHFS. So I mount straight to the server, the production server, and I'm editing this on that. But it's it's safe. I mean, I'm just farting around with code here that's like 1 page long. So just doing fun experiments like this, which is pretty cool, I think. So anyway, notice that it has some easy things like bounds where you can do bottom, left, right, top coordinates. And so then you're just checking the bounds to see like, hey, is this inside a workflow, right? So you start to filter things. You can see some of the code here to get those things, right? So do I need these things? I don't think I need these things. I did redraw. Right, so like to... also, I'm using D3 here to actually do the drawing. As you can see, we bind to this structure. Do I have the structure up here? Yes. So I cleaned this up. And this is a cleaned up structure. So I don't have everything. As you can see, the objects are quite simple. They just have the bounds copied in, as you would expect. But it's all clean, right? Is slice is false. And that basically means, hey, is this square inside a workflow? Or sorry, is it not a workflow, right? Does it have a W colon in front? So it's not a workflow, it's part of a slice for now, right? It'll probably be, this is going to be removed, and it's going to be is state view, is command, is event. Yeah. And other things about, believe it or not, the connections here in Miro, there is no good API for it. I've looked at so much source code on searching for Miro automation. There is no way to say that this object is connected to this object. This connection is actually quite superficial in terms of at least what they expose to API. You have to look at the coordinates of the end of the arrow and the beginning of the arrow and the actual coordinates to figure out that this arrow connects these two objects. So it's going to be quite a bit more work to do this, to figure out if you're command handlers connected to an event, or which, more importantly, I think across event modeling stuff, is to find out which state views, where they're getting their data from, which events. So that's going to be kind of cool. For now, it acts pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I'm not using I only learned D3 this last week, so I'm not using it correctly. I don't have the enter and update and exit defined, so I'm just redrawing the whole thing. As you can see, I just remove everything from the body and then redraw it all again. That's not what you're supposed to do. Then you can listen to this widget created, widget deleted, widget transformation updated. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You can also do user stuff. So like if I'm adding like a command handler, I can find out that I'm the one using the Miro board, and I can get Miro.currentUser or whatever, and then start to do that. But the idea is that this whole thing here can be blown out to have multiple tabs, so you can see who's working on what. And actually, what I really want to do is there's something really interesting about Miro. If I go back to the actual Miro things, so if I go inspect, do I have that? No, I don't have that. But if I go inspect element here and then go to this, does it give me that? Crap, where is it? One of these divs. Oh, it's an iframe. That's not good. Aha, I think I got it. Div here, no, here. Okay, that's the pop-up. Sorry, I'm just hunting around for things. That's not it.
Yeah, I got into this rabbit hole of like trying to kind of enhance Miro, but then I just gave up. Hopefully,
no, it's actually it's actually not too bad. I'd like to work with you on this if you want. I'm gonna put this code up as a GitHub source, and I'm just gonna allow people to maybe I'll do another one that's gonna be hosted on a subdomain, so like demo.eventmodeling.org or something that you can just link it to and add it. Because I mean, this is the thing here that how you make this happen is here. If you go to index.html, so there's your SVG that makes a little graph and it says event model statistics, right? And then all you do on the ready here is that you put this sidebar, right? So this is actually going to eventmodeling.org, Miro/sidebar.html, and then of course it just gives you what icon you want, what you want to do on click, and that's it. It's pretty simple to hook up. All you do is include this SDK, so you can do the Miro object stuff, and you're done. And then I mean, I didn't even bother breaking this out into a separate JS file. It's just sitting there inside the script tags in here. And the entire thing here is really this this select, which walks the collection of cleaned objects, and just dives down into the actual slices, because at here it filters for workflow, and enters that and binds it to P, and then starts to fill out the unordered list, and then iterates with the select all over the slices. And again, it's only doing enter, so you don't get the nice, if I was to put animations in here, they wouldn't work. This thing is just changing the data, so I'm just redrawing the whole thing. That's not what D3 is about. D3 is about having really nice visualizations, so I should have a nice animation, of this box here transitioning nicely, just floating over to that one, right? All these things should just have all these nice animations, and not have to iterate through everything. So if anyone knows D3.js, they'll know that it's pretty cool from other aspects. If I go and inspect this element, and I go to, where is it? God damn it, properties. Where are the properties of my LI? Oh, here. No, that's application. Where the heck is properties? Debugger? No. No. Inspect. Help me out, Yurtis. I had this going yesterday. Why is properties not on here? What am I missing?
What happened?
I just want to know where the properties are for this LI.
What kind of
I thought there
property?
was a property tab here. Is it? It's not this. This is layout, computed, changes, fonts, animations. There's a properties thing somewhere here. Why am I not seeing
Well,
it?
that one doesn't have any property. If you see the HTML, it's blank. It's just a light.
That's
Property or attribute? I mean, are you talking about CSS property or
no,
HTML
just the DOM.
Yeah,
you
no,
can
that one doesn't
hang
have
some
any.
stuff off of this, right? Like, and that's what I'm gonna show.
Yeah, you can.
Where the hell's there's a properties tab. Why is it missing?
Nah, sir.
There was.
Do a right click on top of the P tag, and then you could add property, something like that. Or hit enter as well.
Break on.
Yeah, attributes.
Delete,
There we go.
enter, change. What's that?
Attributes up.
It won't be there.
Right. Yeah,
Add
you need
attribute.
to add it.
It won't be there. I'm just editing this. I want to see the computed stuff. Like if I go to console and I get the collect. Okay, if I copy the where is it? CSS selector XPath. Oh, I know I know. I was looking at this in Chrome. Chrome has the properties. God damn it. I wish that, because also what Chrome has, which this doesn't have, is a copy that's JS, so you can just paste the JS to get the actual object right away from it. And this one just has CSS selector and CSS path. I don't know if that'll be enough. If I go to console and I'll paste it. See, it just has HTML
Yeah,
body.
by the way, I have a question for you, because
What?
it's getting to the point where hopefully Ono could do this. It's getting to the point where the value of event modeling goes even higher if I have one big event model, because at some point
Yes,
there's so much interconnection between workflows that
that's right.
I don't mind to just copy paste and like I don't know, like start from a read mode or an event because I trust everything happened before, obviously, and I don't care about that. But dealing with stakeholders and PMs and like non-technical people, like they're getting to the point where if they have the option to have an infinite event modeling, they would, or something like that, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to track what events are the
that's
exact same events type of
exactly.
situations.
So
Like,
that's what we're trying to do. Oh, here's maybe this is computed.
and last, it's interesting because the way you work is that everybody owns the entire. Uh, it's like a silo of it. Here we have based on roles, front and back end designers or whatever. So the way we have to split the work is more like a communication between every line going in and out, to the backend automations, UI, stuff like that. So it's have to be optimized around
Yeah, I mean,
people
exactly. So
communicating each other.
I'm starting to add way more, like in swim lanes in an event model. I'm adding on the very left hand side all where things actually live, in terms of server, like a dev box, all the stuff for the information about the dev box is in there, and yeah, so I'm pushing for that because I don't want people jumping to Jira, jumping to all sorts of places. I want people to use this truly as a blueprint, and do that. I'm actually quite surprised, Yurtis, that while Chrome has a way to see this, like I know if I output this on the console, it'll give me a little thing to just drill in and see. So how do I do that? Was it document? How do I?
You could do $0. Do they have that? Do $0 and see if they have it highlighted there. Hit enter.
I did.
Wait, do you highlight the element that you wanted?
Oh no, I didn't. How do I do that?
Go to the inspector and then click on top of the
yeah, one of them here. Okay. Inspect. Yeah. Okay. Inspect. Yeah, this guy. Okay. So now what do I do?
Go to the console and do $0 and have to be an LI. Hopefully, if not, then that's a Chrome only thing.
It's restricted.
Shit. Never mind. That's Chrome. Sorry.
That's weird. There's got to be there must be a easy way in here to do it. There's attributes, add attribute, break on. Mail. Oh, using console. There it is. Using console. Oh, there sweet. What? Still giving me restricted?
Probably because it's inside an iframe, and that's why it's not working though.
Ah, that sucks. Okay, on Chrome it works.
Yeah.
That's not good. Restricted, eh?
Yeah.
There must be a way for me to allow other. I guess it's because it's coming from eventmodeling.org. This HTML. Sure. So where's the damn settings to make sure that that's not.
By the way, Adam, I have a oh shit! I have a meeting in a few minutes. What was I about to ask? Shit, I got sidetracked.
I know I can probably allow this.
Oh yeah, the other interesting situation is that people are getting so accustomed to have like the section diagram that they even want to add a event model that is just a read model into an interface just to have the information.
What's that? What are they trying to do?
Like we get so accustomed to have the exact same, diagram to understand the workflows or whatever, that at some point you don't have a workflow. All you have is like a backup data, a read model, and a page that you present information. But people still want to use, they rather have that green sticky there and that one UI page somewhere than not.
Ah, right.
But again, like without having a way to connect read models or whatever and things that all the stuff needs to happen in order to get there, it's really hard though. Either you have one big massive even model or like uh,
I know what I'm going to do, Eurydice.
yeah.
I'm going to switch.
To Chrome.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm gonna
happened.
switch to Chrome just because I don't know why I started using Chrome because I think I had on my laptop it just launched from what I was doing for some reason. It wasn't bound to Firefox, so I ended up doing all this other stuff in Chrome, and I'm like, what the hell? Why is this different? Well, obviously it's different because of yeah this issue. I know why I'm getting slow performance because I'm recording on OBS as well, and I just want Zoom to record, so I'm just gonna stop that. All right, let's go to Chrome. Post this in.
Hey, how do you do process managers?
With the
Are you
gears. I put gears on the event model.
No, sorry. I was about to say like in the event sourcing in general, do you just use like an stream that is a process manager or
No,
you do
process
flexible?
managers are actually on both sides. So process managers don't exist unless you have heavy processing on the publisher or subscriber side, on the source or destination, if it's one thing to another. So yeah, I'm actually thinking that that might be an interesting way to add another little bit of convention to event modeling to really define where the process manager lives, because you can have process managers where most of the processing is done on the receiving side of the data. Remember, event modeling is about data flow, like where the data is going.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be pre-processing, and there may be things you do on the other side. So now the idea of a process manager is really in two places at that point. And so you have to look at the state view and its name to really understand that part of the process, and you need to look at the command and its name to understand the receiving side, which is it's an interesting concept because it does away with this idea that a process manager is a thing. What we're really doing is we're managing state across time, and it's revealing that process managers are artificially making entities about what the thing is doing. If you just focus on the data, you start to get a different appreciation for what's actually going on, and so you may actually better understand what you're trying to do with quote unquote a process manager. So the little gears, I'm wondering if it's actually might be a better way to name them so they don't get confused with process management.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't correct me here if I'm wrong though, but I removed the jargon of the process manager intentionally because for me it's just another stream.
Uh-huh.
So it's just another command and something that have to react to some event happening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that stream is a process manager, but I just don't care anymore. Like I don't see any value in keeping the name around other than making some people to understand a little bit better.
Yeah, I think because remember that it stays in the UI swim lane, so it's really about saying to the user what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be more interesting to name a command something with the name process in there, such as receive some published information, or name the read model on the other side something such as process for export, right?
Yeah. Why?
And then what happens is what do you give the name? What name do you give the gear at the top? it's something that should speak to the user that's now waiting for this thing to happen, potentially waiting anyway, or is interested in the transformation or the migration of data from A to B. So it's definitely an interesting topic because it starts to get underneath the surface of all of these. Hey, that's just a process manager. Hey, we have a Saga, and like it always just didn't feel right to me because it screamed for middleware, for extra pieces to make enterprise architecture work, right? Or microservices work, which is not that great, I don't think. It's just adding extra moving pieces, and I'm not about complicating things unnecessarily. It's already complicated enough, you know what I mean? And so I don't want that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna have to disconnect in 3 minutes.
Okay, let me show you this then, because it'll work on here.
Yeah. One thing I was about to tell is that for some reason we ended up putting the commands and read model and stuff like that in the swim lane of a particular aggregate.
Yeah, I used to do that a long time ago.
Yeah, I definitely don't see that much value when you're getting up to speed because like you shouldn't be thinking about the stuff at first,
right.
but then people kind of like it just to understand where they need to go in the code and stuff like that. So that's just one feedback there.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. But I just tell them, just look where it's connected to. Where's that info coming from? And, oh shoot, how do I move this down? Oh, there it is. Dockside bottom. Hey, I think I got it. I think I have it now. Let me switch. So before you have to go, here it is. I just want you to take a look at this. I don't know why your Zoom screen is frozen.
Mine?
Frozen. Yeah, it looks like you're frozen.
Nah, I think that's from your computer though.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Control higher. Oops, no, that's not control. Control higher. There we go. Do you see everything?
Mm-hmm.
All right, goody. So if I do the same thing here, and that's increasing everything. All right, whatever. And inspect this. Inspect. Okay, it's there. And I can copy copy selector. No, JS path there. And I go to console.
Do $0 here, by the way.
See? Look at that. See, it does work. Yeah, dollar signs will work here. Oops. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
But is that a bug in Chrome? A security issue? That's not interesting.
It's weird, eh? Isn't that weird that that didn't work in Firefox? I mean, it's more secure. I get it. I guess if people, I guess I don't know. Not good for development, but I guess it's the proper way to do things. So here's the one that I had, elements, and if I go here, there is properties. See, this one's got properties, which is really cool. Because it's now, see, this is what D3 does, is it actually sticks the data in here. So like when that's what I wanted to show, is that when you actually do this stuff, the cool thing about D3 is that it actually does bind to this, right? And in this case, my data is the actual object for, that I created here, like this mapping here, right? Which is pretty neat. And so yeah, as you redraw this stuff, it's it's pretty cool.
Adam, I need to let you go. I have a meeting until 4 p.m.
Well, it was good to see you, man.
Yeah, it was good to see you as well.
You're still at the same company, right? That's this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
The HMRL Bank. Yeah. Still here for now. So
nice. Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I'm gonna. I wasn't around for the last couple of weeks because we just had a ton of work, and Fridays just ended up being horrible. But yeah. Anywho, I hope you like this, and I'll trim down the video and post it.
Yeah, let's chat about the Miro stuff because I've been trying to do the same thing, like mess around with widgets, stuff like that. So anyway,
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. If you can imagine, you know, how much you can do with this in terms of progress charts. And oh, the other thing I wanted to tell you about is this other thing.
no,
Yeah, I
keep
gotta
it
show you.
for
Okay,
another day.
okay. See you. I'll show everyone
Yeah,
else. Okay.
cool. All right,
Okay.
I need to. Bye
All
bye.
right. See you next time. All right, everyone. So I'll show you something else that's cool about. Well, not cool, but just it's something that you have to keep in mind on with Miro. Let me go back to the console here and just do the same code as I have here and get all the objects from the board. So I can copy that here and just paste it in this. And so what Miro does with each object, you can see shape, line shape, so you can start to look at different things in different ways. But one of the interesting things here is the plain text property, which you can see is, there's the sample workflow here. This is the one that we're looking at. It's this square. There is also this, which allows you to put in, different paragraphs. You can actually style the text in here almost like a web page. With all sorts of class things, etc. So if you wanted to do a break and then do something like another line, oops, P, another line, and all that, you could format this to be like a proper index card with all sorts of different information. Oops, did that not work? Oh, I think I have to. I think I have to do an update on all the objects for these to get redrawn. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll do that. So there's a programmatic way to do that. But what I've seen some people do in Miro add-ons is to format all this and then provide an input-output sidebar with the fields so that you can get past the basic shapes. And that's what you can do here with an event model in Miro, is start to have whatever you need in terms of finding out who's working on what. For example, once you add swim lanes, you can parse with similar code as to which line represents the bottom part of a swim lane of a particular service, and then look for all the events and do what you need to do to give a report of how many things you have, handled by a particular service. Back to basically talking about Conway's law as one of the things in event modeling as to which teams are working on what. You can start to really get a much better sense of where the information is and how many, how large of a team you're going to need to take care of different parts. Someone was complaining that, inverse Conway's law trick or whatever is bad. It's like, it's not bad. It's understanding Conway's law and then intentionally building your system in a way that's true to where the information is that you want to talk about. Right here we're just organizing on workflow, but there could be an organization based on swim lanes as well, quite easily with a similar approach. And that way you get to control the size of teams, and more importantly really support those teams with proper budgets, etc., so that you don't have arbitrary assignments to like an underfunded team doing something important and complicated, and another team having a much easier go at things with a lighter load that has too many people, and they end up gold plating and all of that. So yeah, people are talking about Conway's law is something that exhibits itself as a natural formation of architecture based on the amount of teams you have, and that if you use that in the opposite way intentionally, it's somehow bad. It's like, that's not exactly right. So using Conway's law means understanding this dynamic. And if you know where data is, you're going to be able to assign proper time and budget to the teams that are working on certain things. Where's my chat? People are wanting to chat. Oh, okay. Everyone's leaving. So great. So thanks everyone for doing this. So I'm going to post this short video. I'm going to cut out all of the hour of chat that we had today, which is really good to just chat with people. But yeah, basically do a small little video on this code and kind of the goals, and I'll put it up as open source so that I can kind of interact with you folks, because I think a lot of people are using Miro. It's been kind of accepted for a whole bunch of all sorts of different activities within an organization, from wireframing to brainstorming to whatever, and event modeling as well. So there's a lot of licenses out there of people using it. So if we can allow way more little extensions like this, with like a small little addition to do that. And of course there's, if we're going to do this, maybe next week what we're going to do is look at the server side API that you can use. Like you can just call out to the Miro API and interrogate this programmatically from your own server instead of from within the browser. And then you can automate all this to have other information funneled to here, but just done on other processing, not within the browser. So yeah, there's two parts to the Miro API. There's this, what you can do with the JavaScript, like directly as I showed you here, just call out to your own website. When you add the the API stuff, maybe that's another thing we can do, is just to show how to automate the Miro API, how to get the your application, in this case this little sidebar, to be approved, and how you add it so that it shows up in here. And yeah, you can then allow this thing to exist on different organizations in your Miro account. You get a developer team, so you have to tick that you're going to be a developer. And they say, strongly advise not enabling these things unless you tested them fully on your own production boards. But I've enabled it on production boards because I'm not really changing anything here. As you can see, it's just a read-only workflow, and we're just populating what's in the sidebar. And none of this code exists the minute I close it, so all this stuff's not running when it's closed. It's only when I click this that it starts to interrogate that. And yeah, so maybe for next time we can also look at D3. It's not the most obvious way to use things. The select P when something doesn't exist yet. It's kind of like a templating language more. So when you have these select LP, you're not actually selecting them. It's kind of like what you wish already existed, and if it did, it's going to be bound to these data items, and then therefore you append them. You'll see this kind of weird dynamic here of appending the same thing that you selected, and then we can also do some experiments of basically breaking this up into each call and seeing what the data is, or what the object is that it returns at each one of these. Start off with this. Obviously that's just going to give us a body div. Then it's going to give us the something that'll allow us to add data, so we'll see what object that brings. And yeah, so D3.js, take a look at it, read about it. It's pretty cool. I think it's really nice to do that. I haven't had a chance to really use it much, but and then yeah, see what happens when you actually add the data, and then when you do the enter, and then what happens when you append. All these things really have an interesting way of working with the object model in here. It's really, really cool, and I think we can do quite a lot here. And as people get more comfortable with all these cool things that are happening in terms of managing their software development life cycle within Miro, that all of these extra helpers here are pretty cool, because it's what you would have to usually go to Jira to get like what's being worked on and all those things. You can get all of that here from the event model, and when you're done looking at it, you can close it and continue working on your event model. So if people get really into this, and like you just said, let's make this event model for the entire organization. Once you get into like 1,000 workflow steps, Miro starts to slow down, and so. But your mind has been open to the possibilities, so then you're going to look at any number of the other tools out there like ONote, etc., that are built for this, and they have all this built in, not as an afterthought. They're built for enabling this type of thing. But it doesn't mean that we can't get some stuff from Miro that's going to fast forward us on a lot of things, like the silly translation between Miro and the slices in an event model and Jira, for example, if you're working with an existing team that uses Jira. So we can short circuit quite a lot of that by just embedding this information in here, having little export buttons and other things that'll give you a good chart of progress or whatever you need. I'm not sure if I'm just looking at the Miro API. I think there's a way to get all of the events that happened on a particular board, and that may be sort of like an event sourcing way to just get historic versions of this, so you can have burn down charts and other activity monitoring and correlate that with Git, or have your CI/CD process so that not even CI/CD. Let's just look at Git hooks, right? GitOps. When someone commits or merges their branch for a particular slice to QA, that you can add some metadata here. And actually, that's kind of cool, is that each of these things in Miro actually does have a metadata collection, which you're free to use. So it can have quite a lot of extra things, such as this is already deployed to QA, but it's not deployed to production, and all sorts of cool things. And then in here, you can automate basically populating this text, which in here, as I said, you can actually add way more styling. So you could have the main name of like the event, but underneath you can have little sections which will have you could even have plus or minus boxes in there to expand them, or actually I don't think you can interact with these, but anyway, you should be able to do something on the left bar, because you can listen to object selected and then make this entire thing change to give you action items for what you want to do with this. So for example, show details of completeness or whatever, and you can change this text to be whatever, or have other buttons where it just flips this actual text to encode other indicators. So we can start to look at kind of shoehorning in some of the features that you're going to get out of the box with products like ONote and others into here. Again, it's probably not going to be as good or as performant, because we're really extending Miro past what it's supposed to be used for. So anyway, any questions left for the 4 remaining people? Hey Rick, I didn't notice you snuck in. You've been quiet.
Hey, uncharacteristically, I've been quiet. I'm just listening and doing some stuff. Although I do have to jump off.
Oh yeah, your kid stuff. Yeah. Of course.
I got a noon call to deal with.
Okay. Any quick thoughts on just making the most of what we have in Miro and this kind of stuff?
I think making the most of what we have in Miro is a good idea, because it gives some flexibility, and people, and just showing that that's possible. Just trying to keep it a few I would, try and have a few simple. I would go for the lowest hanging, highest value thing.
Yeah.
And get that working.
Well, that's what I'm doing, right? Is I'm trying to do this for a project that always needs the status of where is all the slice, where are all the slices? Are they all finished in this particular workflow? Are we halfway done? How many are left? And more importantly, which ones are repeated, right? Because you can have a repeated state view in a workflow, right? And so just finishing that one will potentially finish 25% of the entire workflow steps because it's repeated within it, right? So there's that
Right.
disparity between, hey, there's like 1,000 workflow steps, but we only have 450 only state views and command handlers, right? So you can start to show visually that that's the case. So people that are managing the project are like, okay, it looks like there's a lot, that QA might need to test, but the development can be done sooner because it's really just this one, you know, state view that needs to be finished. We have a lot to test because it's a large workflow, but the actual logic to build the state view can be done quite sooner. So you have this like, hey, this thing took a short time to develop, but the testing might take a long time because it's used in like all these different workflows.
Right. So I think that's the key. Right before I jump out, is to just say that the main, like the highest value problem is showing that status of the workflow and kind of what's done and not done in that workflow, right?
Yeah,
And what's in progress and what's not. What's changing right now is probably the biggest thing, right? So
yeah,
what's done and not done is good, but also what's changing right now
yeah,
and like if you articulate that and just say, and forget about like the stuff like the arrows and the connectivity, that's trying to get into um how it's all connected, but
yeah,
really
yeah. The low hanging fruit is that, like, for example, right now what I generate. I mean, what I do right now is I go in. Is it even on here?
so
No, this is a
and
developer team. But on a full account, there's a download thing where I can download everything as a CSV. It just gets all the text, and we
so
have these embedded.
so
And
my
the and
my proposal to you is to actually just list out, like, there's a lot of things we could do, but we're less focus, and when you post that thing onto Git, right? Like that,
yeah, I'll put the
that
GitHub and
intro,
I'll have the
the
issues
intro
on there. I'll have
the
the I'll
intro
have the
page.
issues on there.
But
Yeah,
the intro page saying,
yeah,
if we can just solve this problem,
yeah,
which is all I want to see. There's lots of other things we could do, and we can spin off sub projects or maybe extend it. But really, is what are our options to solve this problem? And people might want to do branches and say, well, here's the way you're doing this W colon and this kind of stuff.
oh
But
no,
I
this
have an
is just
idea. So
garbage for now. I don't actually do this in the one. This is just an experiment, just to show.
right,
So, for example, like
but
I
some
said, in
people might
ours, we
spin
have
off
it
from
embedded in
experiments.
here.
Yeah. So some people like just basically saying, here is the problem we want to solve. Here's a couple experiments. Use the code, spin off experiments, use this GitHub
Yeah,
repository in this way, say, what are our options to solve this problem, and keep it at that level, and see if you could use that to really experiment the problem, and then create a new project that actually learns from those experiments and pulls it in, right? So people can do little experiments, and then another one that's kind of more cohesive when that comes together, when a
right.
couple options stand out. So that's my suggestion: is keep it small, keep some little experiments that people can just
Yeah, of
steal and
course. Yeah,
use and
yeah, yeah. No,
feedback.
that's what I'm gonna do. I
But
just wanted to tell you, Rick,
but
that
it,
that right now what we do is we have a bar for each progress of each workflow, and in there, blue means complete, and then there's like a yellow part which is all the stuff that's in progress, and a red part that's left to be done. So visually, it's quite good. We have about 30 different workflows for this one large project, and so looking at the bar for each of those things is quite cool. I'm going to anonymize the data and just maybe show
yeah,
that next time
yeah,
because
anonymize the data, and even just like mock it up, and doesn't have
yeah,
to be
yeah,
the exact thing.
exactly. And I actually want to, because I like this side flow, like how it just ends up being a little extra info on the side. I'm going to change the bar to be vertical, and then make it interact, make it active and dynamic, so you can click on the bars and expand to the details. It's like, oh, why is this workflow only halfway down? It's like, who's working on it? Can I click on one of those, and it should just navigate straight to that part of the work, like to the event
Right.
model. So you can also use it
So
as like a navigation thing. Like this thing's kind of, this map is so generic on the lower right. It doesn't really help much. But if you have
so
something here where there's like navigation tab, there's like a progress
yeah.
tab, there's like an architecture tab to show like all your services and like how many state views are hosted in each one. It's so cool, right? Like,
So I think if you just highlighted it to, there's, from what I understand, there's two key problems, and if you simplify it, there's tons of ways to attack those, but there's two key problems. One is this sense of the overall workflow, what's done, what's completely done, what's partially done, and what's not done at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one, kind of that rough status.
Yep.
And then there's also what's being worked on right now in that context. If
Yep.
you can visualize those two things together, you get a really good sense of how it's moving,
Yep.
right? Because if it's partially done and not being worked on is different than partially done and being worked on.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's meaning. So those two layers, there's one layer as what's done, not done, and two, what's being worked on right now, and then potentially by who. But really, that's even, you could probably figure that out, with the quick, hey, who's working on this, right? It's really,
Yeah.
it's like, just let me look at the status and be able to ask a coherent question. That's really the goal. So if you can answer those layered questions, which is, done, not done, and partially done, kind of what's that status, and then what's being worked on right now,
Yeah.
that's good enough for the conversation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I think and options, people's ideas and options to visualize that within Miro, and options to kind of automate that and keep that report up to date would be some really good exploration.
Yeah, I
That's
think
my-
also I think the one big thing that's not in play yet is the server side of things, because this is all just nicely in the browser, but that entire idea of accessing Miro from your own programs that are running on your servers to do, for example, history tracking of all these kinds of things, maybe taking a snapshot of what the event model is, once a day or every hour or whatever it is, because you can capture all this data that's in here.
Yeah. Anyways, I totally have to jump off. I
Okay.
apologize. I gotta go.
No worries. I got to go too,
Catch you
actually.
later.
It's holy smokes. It's already 12. Okay.
right.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everyone. So more next week. This has been a lot of fun hacking on this, and I, ended up learning a lot about D3, which I think is going to be pretty cool for data visualizations to extend this. And of course, one thing that's happening out of this is that as we're interrogating these, we're starting to really give people an idea why we need an event modeling kind of convention. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool to actually show why our event model abstraction and document types need to have certain information, and what is the purpose of event modeling through building systems, and then that standard for that document, which right now you see just for fun, it's really all of these things here just to play with, but that will obviously grow to slice names and all sorts of things that you find here. So anyway, that's enough for today. It's good to get back to some stuff. So more to show next week about how all this works with some nicer graphics, and then perhaps also to look at some of the code for all of the backend that can be done, because that's going to be needed for some extra functionality. So thanks everyone for joining, and I will see you next week.